Firstly, I would say you've got to have confidence to wear trousers like this and My name's Emma, and 4 years ago, at the age of 29, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. That's a story I've probably told many times. The story I want to tell today started 30 years prior to that. These two very soft-focused lovelies got married and decided they wanted to have children. They were to become my parents, Ned and Annie, and 4 years after this, I was born into the world, yellow and tiny. And I was given something by them, a little bit of both of them. My mum was quite timid at this stage. You can tell by the very sweet expression on her face. She was very timid, and my dad was a bit of a ham, a confident person, would go into any room and tell a story and command a stage. And I became a little bit of both of them. Confident in my own little way, confident among my friends, confident in the situations I was comfortable in, confident. I was into drama in a big way, and you'd put me on a stage and I'd be confident, but I'd come off as a little timid mouse afterwards. But they never pushed me to be anything more than that. They were always incredibly accepting of me and who I was and what I brought to the world, just as they were with each other. They were such different people, and they looked at each other and they loved each other, and they loved me for being a mix of the two of them. And so I grew up in a situation feeling incredibly supportive, incredibly cared for, and as if it was okay to be me. And I think at this stage I never really knew how important this would be for the rest of my life. And I carried on much in the same way until I became a small child, all the way through to my teenage years, right up until the end of my 20s, when my diagnosis of Parkinson's came. It was a little bit of a shock, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not an older man, so I wasn't expecting it to be Parkinson's. And when you're diagnosed with something long-term, when you're diagnosed with anything, you're chucked into a box, and there's a label put onto it, and the ceiling is put in place, and it's very difficult to push past that. You have to really, really want to. And sometimes that ceiling is there because you've put it there. And the expectations for you are so much lower because you're expecting less of yourself. Just getting up and going into work, you're inspirational for doing that. Just getting on with your life, you're inspirational for doing that. And I wanted more than that. I wanted to push past that and actually live an exciting life. And luckily, my friends and my family expected the same of me too. They didn't put me in a box. They said, "You're the same Emma." And they laughed at me and joked with me in the same way that they used to before. And I suddenly realized that I was coping, and I was thriving. And I was waking up each day and not just getting up, but I was going to work and actually being myself, and I was seeing a colour in myself that I really liked. There was something different about me. And I think now, looking back, that thing was confidence. Because to me, confidence is getting up in the morning, being able to get up, get dressed, go to work, live a fairly normal life, and really hit the world head on. But it's also on a more granular level, putting yourself in really stupid situations. And I've got tons of examples of things I've done that are ridiculous. I think it's having unbelievable faith in yourself and knowing that it doesn't matter if you fail. And if you think you're going to fail and you don't worry about failing, you're more likely to succeed, to be honest. The amount of things that have gone right for me because I've not worried too much. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of stupid things I've done in the last couple of years, and my boyfriend will be sat somewhere in this audience thinking, "Oh, just a few," because there's tons. If you find him later, he'll probably tell you some more. The first one being, I decided to write a book about Parkinson's because I decided there wasn't enough books about the subject written from a younger person's perspective. And I'd not really done any writing before, and I knew the exact date that I wanted my book launch to be. I wanted a big party. You know, you can tell I like a party because I like a sequin. And I booked my venue, sent out the Facebook invite, wrote a press release before I'd even written one word of the goddamn book. Confidence or foolishness is a really fine line, and my mum was having kittens, bless her, because she's sensible about things like this. But it worked. I mean, my books arrived the day before my book launch. It was that close, but it worked. And the problem is, when things work like that, you think, it might work again. So, on a whim, I thought, I'd like to share my story in video form. I think I can probably tell my story better that way. So I embarked on a 365-day video blog project, where I upload a video every day to YouTube, having never used YouTube before, having never really made a video, and actually having the attention span of a gnat. And a friend of mine said to me, he was a videographer, he said, I managed 30 days, you won't get further than that. I'm on day 55. Confidence is also quite close to being smug, I think, sometimes. So I've cheated slightly on the last week of the blog project because I've bunched 5 days into one video, but I have a really good excuse. Because last year, a woman who I don't know invited me to go on a 300-ton boat with her for a week via Twitter, and I said yes. And I'm still alive, so my parents taught me a lot. They probably didn't teach me stranger danger, because I wouldn't have done that. But it was an incredible experience, and one that I'm really proud of. And I think the thing that runs through these 3 examples, where there are thousands more, is blind faith in myself, something that my parents have always had in me. It just took me that bit longer to find it in myself. And actually, seeing that I was coping, seeing that I was thriving, you start saying to yourself, what's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? I could get Parkinson's. Done that, tick, what's next? And it makes you think, I can try some other things and see what happens. And so my parents gave me this great basis to build on, of love and support, and actually it being okay to fail, it not mattering at all. But it took Parkinson's to draw it out from me. And so I guess in a strange way, I'm grateful to Parkinson's for doing that, because I never would have known the measure of myself. And so, because I am the complete mix of my parents, my carefree mother and my stage-loving father, I'm going to end this speech in a way that shows confidence to me. As a girl with Parkinson's, I am going to juggle, for the first time since childhood, in front of a stage full of people, a room full of people even. And seriously, what is the worst that can happen?